Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. So, as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm not doing great, you guys. We've had so much going on this year. It has been just one of the most stressful years of my life, putting it lightly. I've been through a lot of things. I know life is not easy, but foster care has been a real challenge for us. So right now we're in a situation, I wasn't even gonna share this, and I still don't know if I'm gonna even upload this video, because I know that I'm gonna get probably a ton of hate from this video. But unless you're in my shoes, and you know, unless you're a foster parent fostering 5 kids with 2 kids of your own, then I don't feel like you're in a place to judge. But if you are, then, you know, please tell me how you do this, because right now I'm just at a loss. So if you've been following our foster care journey, you know that we got into foster care. We started training in September of last year, and it is August 2018. Sorry. We got our first placement in January. They left for a few weeks, and then we got another placement a few weeks after they left, and then a few weeks after we got a new placement, we got our old placement back. So we ended up fostering 5 children. That was not our plan. That is just the way it worked out. The 3 kids that we fostered the first time, I fell in love with. I wanted to adopt them if they went for adoption, but they weren't up for adoption yet, and we didn't know when they would be or if they would be at the time. And when they moved them, I was devastated. I'd only had them 2.5 weeks, mind you, and it was a lot of work having 5 kids for those almost 3 weeks. But you know, I was willing to do that to help those kids because I love them. All 3 of them were extremely delayed for their age, and 2 out of the 3, or maybe even all 3 of them, are autistic. They have not been diagnosed, but I have a niece who's autistic. I've been around enough autistic kids to know I know the signs. And then we got them back after we got our second placement. In our second placement, they said she was autistic, but my mother-in-law worked with special needs children and different things, and the behaviors that we had out of one of the children, she showed many signs of schizophrenia. And to be honest with you, we had asked for her to be moved after we had her about a month, because we had so many bad behaviors from her. And we loved her. I mean, she was a sweet kid, but there was something wrong. And whenever she would have these fits and these tantrums, she would go in the bathroom. For one, she had no hygiene. We tried to teach her hygiene. She had no hygiene. We also noticed that she was very aggressive towards our younger children. She was 9 years old, but she was extremely aggressive to our little children. And she choked 2 of the little kids in our house, and she pinched all of the children in our house. And going into foster care, the one thing that I knew I would not be able to put up with is the foster children hurting my children. I didn't want my kids to suffer because I had decided to do foster care. I still wanted to help kids. I just knew that I wouldn't be able to help children with those types of behaviors. Now, not to say that those kids don't deserve a loving family and a safe home. I do believe that, but not every family is equipped we weren't trained to handle those things, and I wasn't prepared to watch my children suffer because of it. So we did request for her to be moved. But at the time, we were looking at adopting her older sister, because she was scheduled to go to her grandmother's within a few months, and her older sister had nowhere to go at the time, and we were looking at adopting her. And basically what our agency told us is that if we were to move the younger one that they would have to move the older sister. So basically we just sucked it up and dealt with the behaviors for a few more months. And the agency was basically saying, we'll give you more money and we don't have anywhere for her to go. And I don't believe that now that I know some more things about this agency. And the girls were being split up anyway. One was going to grandmother's in California. One, she wasn't able to go to that grandmother because they didn't have the same mom. And yeah, she wasn't able to go to that grandmother. And I was like, you know what, fine. In order for us to adopt this sister, we will try our best to deal with these behaviors. They got us a behavior aid and that helped some. But you know, most of her behaviors were at night. And for one, she constantly argued with her sister. All of our older kids, which she was considered one of the older kids, they have chores. They have to pick up their room, which it doesn't have to be spotless. They just have to make their bed, pick up all the toys and dirty laundry and trash, and I wash, dry, fold, and bring their laundry to their room. All they have to do is put it away. Well, this particular day, I had brought everyone their laundry. Everyone had been doing their part, because to me it is really important, especially when I had a household of 9, being a mother of 7 for months at this point. I was trying my best to keep up with everything, and we had been sick multiple times. We constantly had therapists here. We constantly had doctor's appointments. We constantly had behavior aides and caseworkers in and out, because I was working with 3 or 4 different caseworkers at this point, because I had 2 different cases, and then I had my separate private agency that I was dealing with. And then on the side, we were planning to switch agencies after some things happened, so I was also dealing with a whole nother agency on top of trying to manage a household of 9. And I have no family or friends. Well, I have friends, but they're busy with work and their families, but I have no family here to help me with that. So I was really overwhelmed, and we were all staying sick, probably because of the little ones and the older one who had no hygiene. I mean, I don't know how much I can say, but we had trouble. When she would go to the bathroom, she would not shut the door. She would not use toilet paper. She would not flush the toilet. She would not wash her hands. She would not take a shower for long periods of time. We had to really constantly remind her to bathe, and it was very frustrating when I was trying to keep everyone in our home well for any length of time. And not to say that's all her fault. I think a lot of it also came from the daycare. But then we had the issues of any time that I asked her to do anything, you know, pick up a plate that she left on the table, or put her laundry away, or just anything to pick up after herself, she would have a tantrum, like a screaming, crying fit. And I'm not equipped to deal with those behaviors. My children don't do that, and I don't know how to deal with that, and I know that, and that's why I'd asked for her to be moved. And I knew when they didn't move her that we were going to have more issues, and we did. She has choked some of our other foster children several times, which has been reported. She has pinched all of our kids to the point of leaving marks, different things like that. And I just felt really betrayed by this agency. We love the first lady that we worked with, but she left and started her own agency, and I should have left and went with her. But there's also some things that she did that cut some corners that made things more difficult on us. From day one, we told the agency that we wanted to adopt one child, and we wanted to, you know, we couldn't deal with a lot of what you would call bad behaviors, because especially ones where our children were targets. We didn't want to make our children a target to children with trauma. And that's not saying all foster kids are bad, not all of them are, but I'm just not equipped to deal with those behaviors. So basically what happened was, that day I had asked her to put her laundry away, and she stormed off screaming and crying. This is her old room. They are no longer here. She came in this room, slammed the door. I guess she stood there in front of the door screaming and crying. And that's what she would do a lot of time when she had the tantrum. She would either come in here and scream at herself and cuss us and yell at us, or yell at, she was talking to somebody in here, herself or someone, I don't know. She had told her caseworker previously that she sees people. She had, when we first got her, she used to go in the bathroom and scream at herself in the mirror, things like that. Just things I had never seen or dealt with children, and you know, you hear about it, but I'd never seen it personally. So I did not know how to handle it. So I just kind of let her, you know, as long as she wasn't hurting anyone else. But when she started hurting the other children was when I was really alarmed and really knew that something had to change, and soon. And basically we just did our best to keep her away from the little ones, because they triggered her constantly. She did not like little kids. She was the youngest in her home, and this was her first foster home, and she just did not know how to handle not being the baby anymore. And it was just really difficult to deal with, I'll be honest with you. And I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of hate comments, but unless you've been in my shoes, then you have no idea what I was dealing with. And the agency basically was just like, whatever, you know, suck it up until she moves to her grandma's in a few months. So that's what we tried to do. Well, after the last fit, she came in here, slammed her door, and was screaming, and it was upsetting the other little children. So I came in here and I opened the door, and when I opened the door handle did hit her on the back because she was standing right in front of the door. I did not know she was standing right in front of the door. But I just opened the door normal, and it hit her in the back. And I said, you're not going to slam the door. All you have to do is put away your laundry, and then you can do whatever you want. You can watch TV, whatever you want. But all the other kids have already done their chores. That's the last thing you have to do, and then, you know, you can do what you want. And she continued to scream and cry, so I just let her be. Actually, I take that back. After I told her that, I was like, I'm sorry that I hit you with the door. It was an accident. I didn't know you were standing there. And it didn't seem to be a big deal to her. She calmed right down. After I apologized, she calmed down. She put her laundry away. She did what she wanted. Had no idea that it was even an issue. So I suppose she told her older sister, and her older sister told her caseworker what happened, and her caseworker had to report that because she said that I hit her with something. So now we are under CPS investigation through DFACS. So DFACS investigation, I don't know what it's called. So I'm under a lot of stress. I've never been in any kind of trouble. We were told when we were in training that this happens often, especially when kids have been in foster care for a while and they don't like the place they're at, or if they think they can, you know, do better at the next home, or if they're just ready to move on to the next home, or whatever the reason, they know that they can report abuse, whether it be true or false, and they can get moved to another home. Which I don't think that was the case here. I think she just told her sister what happened, and her sister was just talking to her caseworker and, you know, said it, and the caseworker is legally obligated to report, you know, that. So, and DFACS protocol is to investigate. So, hold on, Miss Reagan's calling me. Sorry, guys. So DFACS showed up at my house one day, I guess like 3 days after the report was made, because the report was made on a Friday, and DFACS is closed on the weekends, so they came that Monday, so about 3 days. Totally unexpected. And they did the interview with all the children. Four of the children were at daycare, and 3 of them were at home with me. So they interviewed 3 of the kids at my house and me, and got my side of the story, and then they went to the daycare and talked to the other kids. and they told me that they found no evidence of abuse and it was unsubstantiated. But they had to do a second interview, which is called a forensic interview, and it's just protocol. Like, it's basically like double checking that caseworkers work, just to make sure, because kids do get abused in foster care. So that's what we're going through right now. It's a 30-day process. It can be shorter than 30 days. I don't know who she's talking to. She's talking to her TV, I think. But it's a 30-day process, and I've never been in any kind of trouble, so I've been really stressing about it, and I just want it to be over with because it just feels scary. And after the second forensic interview, they called and said that they were moving all of the foster children. So they moved all 5 of our foster kids to respite care until they have to move them to respite care until the case is closed. So I don't know if it's the same in every state. That's just how it is where we are. So yeah, it's just been really sad. They came and got the little ones really late at night, moved them 3 hours away, and it just broke my heart for them. They screamed and cried, and it was awful. And then they moved the older girls, and what has really frustrated me about my private agency is the kids have been gone almost 2 weeks. I still have all of the little ones' car seats. I have all of their clothes and toys. They did finally come and get the older girls, the 2 sisters. They got their stuff already because they're only an hour away from us. But the little ones are 3 hours away, and they've made absolutely no effort to come and get their things. I packed them what I could, but the transport had no room in her car for their car seats or their clothes or their belongings. So they moved them without any of the things that we got for them, and they have a lot of clothes here. I mean, I have like 11 bags of clothes, trash bags and suitcases full of clothes here for them. Which they said with them being in respite care that they could come back when the case is closed. But at this point, all of the kids were scheduled to move before school started anyway. Our oldest foster daughter, her mother came into the picture a few months ago and said that she had the legal rights to her, so she had to go to her mother's in West Virginia. And then her younger sister had been scheduled to go to her grandmother in California. And then the little ones, when we first got them, we had wanted to adopt them. But after having them for months, I realized with the special needs that they have, one has ADHD, 2 of them are probably autistic. They haven't been diagnosed yet, but it's fairly clear that they are autistic, probably on different ends of the spectrum, but one more so than the other. And I just wasn't ready to adopt 3 small children at once. For one, it's very expensive. It's about $2,000 per child to adopt a child out of foster care. So I don't have $6,000 just laying around to adopt all of them. Which if I did, I would. But I also knew without my family close by to help me, all of that is on me, and that's immediately 5 kids forever. And I just didn't think that I was ready to adopt all 3 of them. We told them we could adopt 1, but obviously we didn't want to split them up, and DFACS doesn't want to split them up if they don't have to. So we were going to work with the agency that we were switching to find them an adoptive home close to us where we could get to know that family, transition them slowly and get to know them, let them get to know the kids, let them get to know us, build a relationship, and then make it an easier move on the kids rather than just picking them up, taking them to a stranger. We could have let the kids get to know them. We could have gotten to know them, gotten comfortable with them before sending the kids there, and then we could still be a part of their life, birthday parties and whatever that family would allow us to be in their life. And that's what we were really hoping for, because we did really love those kids. We just weren't ready to adopt all 3 right now, and I feel a lot of guilt about that, and I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for that. But unless you are ready to adopt 3 kids when you already have 2, then again, you're in no place to judge me for that. So yeah, I'm just feeling really guilty and sad for that situation. And then with the sisters, I feel sad for them because they're split up, and then they came and moved them, and they both were like, I don't want to leave, I don't want to go. And I'm like, well, you know, there's nothing I can do about it at this point. Like, it's not up to me. So none of the kids wanted to leave us, and it was just heartbreaking, and I felt really bad for all of them. And I feel bad for my kids because they miss the kids. And my older daughter was really scared because she was, you know, we had never been through this, and they were like, are they gonna take us? Like, because I mean, my older daughter, she's very smart, she knows what's going on. They question our kids as well, and she's like, she's been terrified that someone's gonna show up and take her. So it's just been really tough on our whole family, and I've just never been through anything like this, never been in any kind of trouble, and it's just been a really hard year. Foster care is not for the faint of heart, and I don't say that to discourage anyone from doing it, but I never thought that this would happen to us. You know, whenever we got into this, we're like, oh, we're just gonna like foster one at a time, go slowly and not overwhelm ourselves, not get burned out, and that is not how this went at all. So yeah, it's just been really hard. And you know, I wouldn't change it because I'm grateful that we met the kids and took care of the kids that we had. We love them, and we made a lot of great memories with them. I've got a lot of videos either up or coming up from this summer that we did with them, and it's just it's been really hard for me to edit those videos with them gone because it just makes me really sad, and I'm still like grieving all of this. But what frustrates me the most is right before this report was made, we had notified our agency that we were switching agencies to the agency that's been working with our church, because they let us know about a website for Georgia. It's My Turn Now Georgia, and I'll leave it linked below and like somewhere on the screen so you can check it out if you're interested in adopting a foster child who is ready for adoption right now. But there is a website for foster children in Georgia who are already up for adoption that we had no idea about. Our agency never told us about this, and we had told them our desire to adopt from the beginning, so I feel like really betrayed that they did not let us know about this website from the beginning, because we could have already been in the process of adopting a kid and being done with all of this and not having had to go through this, because it's been really traumatic for our whole family. I'm going to be honest with you, it's been very stressful, and yeah, it's just been scary. You don't know what to expect, and yeah, it's been rough. So if you could just keep us in your prayers, hopefully by the time this goes up, all of this will be over with, but I don't know. Our agency, though, we had notified them that we were switching agencies. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I have a lot going on. A lot going on. We had let them know that we were switching, and they seemed a little upset about it. And that's because apparently the 5 kids that we had from them, those were the only kids they had in their agency. And right before this report was made, well, months before, I had let them know I needed respite care for the month of July because we had a trip to Colorado planned. And they did not find me respite care until the day before we were supposed to leave, when I gave them months notice. And I was like freaking out because I didn't know where these kids were going to be staying while we were on our trip. And yeah, it was just really frustrating. And the caseworker had the nerve to say, well, I wish you would have told me when I called him to ask him if he had found respite yet. And I was like, I have reminded you every time I've talked to you for the last 2 or 3 months. Like, you know, it's just so frustrating dealing with some of these people. I know they have a lot going on, but considering they only had 5 kids in their entire agency, when there are other agencies that have 30 caseloads on each caseworker, like, I was a little irritated, to say the least. So there was that, and there's, you know, the whole issue with us asking for her to be moved and them not moving her. We had that issue. And then, you know, I don't know, there's just several other things. I can't remember in detail at the moment, but there's been several other things that we've been dealing with this agency where they've just really dropped the ball. And just like we've had, the kids have been gone almost 2 weeks, and I still have all their things, and they're making no effort to get those kids their car seats and their clothes, and school starting, and they don't have any of their stuff, and it just makes my blood boil, you know. And sorry, I'm just venting all over the place, but I'm just really stressed out. I didn't think I was going to share all of this. I was just going to say, you know, the kids have moved and whatever, but I just want to be honest with you about our journey. And if you're looking into foster care, you need to be warned, to know that these things do happen, and they're totally out of your control, and it really sucks to be on this end of it. I will say it was nice to see that DFACS does, the one that we were working with, they did thoroughly investigate their report of abuse, because you do hear of kids getting abused in foster care and nobody does anything about it. So even though we were on this end of it, and it sucks being on this side of it, it was really nice to see that they were doing something about it, and were trying to protect the kids. So I will say I was pleasantly surprised by that, you know, because it's the first time I'd seen it, and you hear nothing but the bad about DFACS. So I was glad that they, you know, thoroughly investigated their report, but it just sucks being on this end of it and being the bad guy. It's the first time I've ever been called a perpetrator in my life, so yeah, so there's that. And yeah, it's just been really hard on all of us, and I'm just ready for it to be over. And now me and my husband are really reconsidering if we want to continue this, because I don't want to keep doing this to my kids, but I still really have a desire to adopt a child. So we decided once this case is closed, we're going to switch agencies. Oh, that's what I was saying. Whenever we told our other agency that we were switching, basically they told us, well, since the other kids are in respite, we're not bringing them back to you guys, so they could keep them in their agency. So I won't say too much more about the negative, but basically they just said they're not coming back because they want to keep the kids in their agency, and they've found homes for them already, and they don't want to move them again. So they won't be coming back to us, which was really sad, but there's nothing I can do about it at this point. So if you'll just pray for their protection, and yeah, just pray for their hearts and ours. And I pray, and I just ask you to just pray for us through this time. Even though when you see this, it'll probably be months later after it is over with, but I don't know. Sweet girl. Plan right at this moment, which it could change. Excuse my hair. It's like really late. Our plan. So our plan from this point is, once this case is closed, which it should be in 2 weeks or less, we are going to switch agencies, and they are going to help us find a child to adopt or start. You have to foster in Georgia. You have to foster the child for at least 6 months before you can decide if you still want to adopt them. So we're going to try to start that process and try to adopt one child, and then maybe just do respite care after that, and just be done with long-term placements, or at least take a long break, because this has been really hard on our family. So careful. So anyways, that's how I've really been. That's how I'm really doing. So yeah, I just want to update you guys, and I wanted to be real with you and honest, and let you know what was up, because you know I haven't had made any foster care updates in quite a while. Hi. Oh. So So anyways, thanks for watching, and thanks for your love and support and kind words. And if you're just going to leave a hateful comment, it's just going to get deleted.
Thank you.
Why waste your time?
Thank you.
Thank you. So anyway, we'll talk to you later. Bye.